Everything depends on the film. It just so happened, for all sorts of complex reasons, most of which I don't quite understand, that this film struck a chord with a very specific section of the Australian audience. It surprised us all, I have to confess. I was gobsmacked at the response of the audience at the Adelaide Film Festival. There was a lot of muttering beforehand about opening a major festival like that with a documentary, but at the end of it there was much less muttering, I have to say. And so we knew, on the basis of that response, that we had something that might have theatrical legs and was worth taking a risk on. Again, you've got to be really thinking now about, it's what Glennis said to us, take off your filmmaker's hat when it comes to distribution and put on your merchant's hat. You've got to think not like a filmmaker but like a merchant. I mean, a classic example of that was, well before the theatrical release, I was asked to go on ABC FM radio to do an hour-long thing, and I was very pleased and went off and did it. And when Glennis heard about it, she just hauled me over the coals. She said, yeah, of course, your filmmaking side of you was flattered to be able to go on television and talk about it, or at least on radio, but your merchant side of you should have said no, refuse that until the strategic time when the interview are going to have a maximum effect on your audience. And I said, yeah, well, I guess I should have known better. So my advice is, yeah, go for it if you've got the vehicle to warrant it, and you need to gauge that. Part of that seat of the pants, and part of its objective analysis of an audience response. And then if you do decide to go ahead, then you have to turn yourself into what most of us aren't, which is business people. And you've got to watch every cent, and you've got to be strategic in your planning, and you've got to sort of set up websites and be prepared to outlay a lot of money if you want to get any back. But also take full advantage of the emerging potential of the net. And I'll give you an example of that. And this film's about classical music. It's about kids. It's about education. It's about striving, and so on. The human spirit, all that sort of stuff. And we knew that. Well, we sort of thought that it would have, obviously, classical music and so on. It's not going to be a mass audience film. The audience is going to be very specific, but we think it's going to be a deep audience. In other words, narrow and deep, right? It's going to be a certain type of person. It helps if they like classical music, but they are going to be very committed, and if they see the film, they're going to really like it. That's what we sort of decided we could take a punt on. And so we immediately, in our early screenings, went to people like the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, all the orchestras around the place, all the music societies, anyone to do with any organisation to do with performance. And of course, they've all got big audience databases, right? So we bring the administrators of those people along to a screening in the best possible circumstances. A really good HD cam SR screening where the film is shown to its best potential, and we get them enthused, and then they go back, and then they can get to work on their websites, and so they're very happy to promote the film to their very specific audiences, and that is so much more effective and more cost effective than sort of blanket advertising in newspapers, right? The newspaper advertising was still a very big element of our budget, and I don't think it brought us anywhere near the penetration of the market that came from our, if you like, our internet assault. And for that, we not only did we have Kim advising us, but we actually hired someone to do nothing, and a musician, and so with connections to all these various organisations. And she did nothing all day, but basically, go through and make contacts with these people, and get our stuff on their newsletters, and which went out to all their databases and so on. And then I think that brought people along initially to the film, in big numbers, which was really important because the chains are waiting for it to fail, like 3 or 4 days and you're getting 10 or 15 people, you're off. Because all those big international people, are after those screens, and they've got big leverage, much more leverage than a couple of, arse out of the trousers documentary filmmakers. And so we got initially big audiences, and then what kicked in was word of mouth. Those audiences went back and told all their friends, I like this film made me cry, you really should come and see it. In fact, I want to come back and see it with you. We did sort of fairly low-key audience interviews of people coming out, and time again we were getting people who had gone to see the film and were coming back with their mother, or their aunt or someone like that who liked listening to Fur Elise, or who had kids at schools and wanted them to do music and so on. So word of mouth. Get a good sort of profile, a good launch at a film festival. Get good reviews if you can. Penetrate. Use the internet as your primary marketing tool to identify your audience and then approach your audience. And then cross your fingers that when they come out of the cinema they like it and they're going to tell their friends, because that's the secret of a long-running, reasonably successful non-fiction film in Australian cinemas.
I think it's life-changing. Oh, I hope I'm not kidding myself. It is, it's life-changing.